What's Your Work Fit is sponsored by Hudson Davis. Start your brand's marketing and communications journey today at hudsondaviscommunications.com. I'm Dan Smolin. I built a successful executive career in marketing and communications before becoming a top headhunter and founding my own executive search firm. Now get this, every day, mainstream media runs stories in which old school bosses and thought leaders frame your work and workplace issues in ways that are often divisive and unmeaningful. And that's just crazy. The time has come for you to answer the question, what's your work fit? So that your work and career fit who you are, how you want to live, and what you want your lasting contributions to be. What's your work fit? It answers your questions and tackles the issues that keep you up at night about advancing your career in this time of workplace revolution. So let's get started. Hey, good day everyone. Dan Smolin here from What's Your Work Fit? I hope you're having a good and successful week. Happy June. We are racing through 2024 and we cannot thank you enough for helping us to build a movement around What's Your Work Fit. Your viewership, your contributions as live show audience questioners to our guests, and helping us to develop future topics cannot be understated. We could not do this show without you. We thank you for your support and your viewership and your listenership on our audio podcast. Thank you so much. So here, you know my ask. Please, if you haven't done so already, engage with What's Your Work Fit. We're now focused on two platforms, LinkedIn and YouTube. There's a follow button on our LinkedIn page. You hit that and you will be reminded of all new shows that come to the fore. You can also go to that destination and check out past shows and posts that we do, and also video clips of our past guests. We also have a What's Your Work Fit YouTube channel, and you can subscribe by hitting that button. That's another way to find us. It's also a really easy to use destination if you want to go across the full array of What's Your Work Fit programs, both the live shows and the clips that we've done. So I encourage you to subscribe on the platform of your choice. One other thing, and that is, if you like what we're doing, and I hope that you do, please tell 5 of your friends who aren't already doing so to subscribe to What's Your Work Fit on those platforms. That's the way we're going to build our movement to creating work fit, where work becomes a wonderful part of a day doing other wonderful and meaningful things. So that's my soapbox for today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm now pleased, let me get this off the screen. I'm now pleased to introduce to you our guest today. He is Ram Srinivasan. Hi, Ram.
Hey, Dan, how are you?
Ram comes to us from Toronto today. Let me tell you a little bit about him. He is a future of work advisory leader for JLL, where he facilitates intentional workplace experiences for leading global organizations. He's also on the leading edge of AI and how it will revolutionize the knowledge work that many career professionals do and hope to do. And as of this week, he has just published a new book called The Conscious Machine. It's a great read. I've gotten through probably 45% of it. You can get your hard copy, you can order it, or you could get your e-reader version at Amazon.com. And I guess other fine retailers, right, Ram?
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for that kind introduction. Checks in the mail. And,
well, very good.
It's been a journey, yes.
Very good. It is my pleasure to bring in our co-host today. Mark Gilbreth is the CEO of Liquid Space. How are you, Mark?
I'm well. Good morning, Ram. Nice to see you, Dan.
Nice to see you too, buddy. And of course, last but not least, Fran Saley. Fran is a commercial real estate, future of work, and workplace expert. You can read his amazing thought leadership on LinkedIn. Oh, why are you shaking your head? It's great stuff.
It's not that good, really.
It's real.
There's some interesting things there for sure.
Well, set aside the self-deprecation.
Nice to be with you, Dan, and Ram. Always great to be with you.
Lovely, lovely.
Well, very good, gentlemen. Let's get right to the topic that, we were going to bring Ram back in March or April. We had some technical difficulties, and kindly he has agreed to come back to answer this burning question, which is, what will knowledge work look like in 2030? Get us started, Ram. What will knowledge work look like 6 years from now?
A lot more work for all of us to do, Dan. It's a super summary, the way I look at it. Right now there is a lot of fear and concern when it comes to AI and machines kind of taking over more and more of what humans do. So the general kind of visualization or conception that we have is there's this giant circle of human work, and there's an expanding bubble of AI and machine inside of it, taking over more and more of what human beings can do. This is kind of a transition period that we're going through. The way I think about it is there is a vast unexplored space outside of these bubbles of human plus AI or human plus machine, which we haven't explored yet. And there is much innovation, abundance, and creativity to come out of the human spirit, so to speak, in the coming years. It will require deliberate effort across organizations, across individuals, across governments, etc. But I am an optimist, techno-optimist, and I view the world through that lens. So I definitely have a bias, but this is the abundance view that I have for the future.
Excellent. So shall we take our audience through your slide deck?
Yeah, absolutely. And not to be murdered by slide deck here, but we'll keep it light and friendly. So I love this quote from Peter Drucker. It's from a 1992 HBR article. And even at that point of time, what Peter suggested was every few hundred years throughout our human history, there's always a sharp transformation that occurs. So we are in that moment of sharp transformation. And this is happening because not just one technology, but it's a convergence of multiple different things. It's hardware, it's technology, it's AI, it's nanotechnology, it's material science, it's robotics, it's, I know Fran's favorite topic of the metaverse and XR. All of these things are converging, and they're kind of reshaping society broadly, but more narrowly work and then knowledge work. We are in that civilization defining moment, right? Sundar Pichai describes this as similar technology to fire and electricity and those kind of things. The word of caution here is shared by Yuval Harari, where he said that this technology is very different because of two compelling reasons. One is it evolves. AI is evolving at a rapid pace, and it makes decisions. It's able to reason and make decisions. The steam engine did not make decisions. Your toaster doesn't make decisions, but AI can make decisions, and that makes this technology very different from any type of technology that existed previously. So we are definitely at that civilization defining moment. And just to share with our live audience here, if we go to that next slide, there's all of these technologies that are converging to shape our very existence, right? So I'm going to go clockwise from top left. If you look at that first image there, that represents Starlink satellites. There are 5,000 Starlink satellites in low Earth orbit right now. And imagine as that provides high bandwidth, low latency internet connection across the world. That changes everything. It provides access to people who did not have access previously, in regions that did not have access previously, to strata of society that did not have access previously. So that's one type of technology that's going to change the game. Japan recently launched 6G. So 4G 100 times faster than 3G, 5G 100 times faster than 4G, 6G is 20 times faster than 5G. So you're going to have high bandwidth, low latency access pretty soon across the world. And if we think 2030, imagine what all could happen. Right? This is right now. The second image there is a John Deere tractor, and precision agriculture is something that AI is supporting in combination with satellite technology. Um, you must look at YouTube videos of how these AI systems, robotic weeders, are able to de-weed using laser technology. It's just amazing what can happen with these technologies now. Crop production, crop yields are increasing because of this. Imagine what happens with things like food scarcity. So there's abundance coming out of this technology and positive change. Um, the third image there is a quantum computer from one of our client locations. So I always say that because people think quantum computing, science fiction doesn't exist, actually exists, billions of dollars going into it. Why do you need quantum computers? Because solid state, typical computers, electronic computers that we have, process information in a certain way. Um, Quantum computers can do multiple different calculations processing simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
So you can then model things like digital twin of planet Earth. And if that sounds like science fiction, check out a company called Planet. They're doing exactly that. So you could then ask a question, something like, hey, what was the carbon footprint of this bottle of water that I'm drinking? Which tree in the Amazon rainforest was cut because of this, table that I'm sitting at? And Planet GPT might be able to answer that question. So this is the value of things like quantum computing. Fourth image there, clockwise, just behind the JLL logo, um, is what Fran loves. It's the metaverse. It's XR VR technology. This image is about 2 or 3 years old now, but more than 50,000 people at this client location have been onboarded with training using these VR XR technologies. These technologies are evolving very high level. There are three types of technologies here. They get conflated typically, but just to define them, you have augmented reality, which adds a layer of information on existing reality. So see-through glasses, and you can see additional information. Like you could look at a building and say, what building is this? Is this a national monument? What's the building valuation?
Mm-hmm.
And your AR glasses could potentially help you with that. Then you have virtual reality, where you're immersed in a new virtual world, so to speak, where the laws of physics don't really matter, and you could do a lot of innovation. Then you have XR, which is extended reality. Uh, Something like Apple Reality Vision Pro is extended reality. So you think you're seeing people's eyes, but you're not. It's actually pictures of their eyes. And you think you're seeing the outside world, but you're not. It's actually a live video of the outside world. So
Right.
23 million pixels in each eye, and 6 outward-facing cameras and 6 inward-facing cameras make that happen. So incredible technology. That is first generation. So by 2030, imagine what could happen, right? As this technology shrinks down. Um, the image in the middle there, bottom middle, it represents BCI and brain-computer interface. Uh, this is amazing technology. It's already in human trials. Some of the early results from this, again, not science fiction, already happened. A person who was completely paralyzed was able to walk again with this type of technology.
It's
A woman
incredible.
who, yeah, incredible. A woman who hasn't spoken for the last 18 years was able to speak using this technology. We have seen the
Wow.
Neuralink videos where people are able to play a video game. A paralyzed person was able to play video game using this technology. So incredible. And think what might happen in the future. This is kind of directly implanted into your brain, but there's also neuroprosthesis, which sits outside your cranial surface and can improve your working memory. Working memory is a kind of a proxy for intelligence, if you will. And if your working memory increases, your intelligence increases. And before you say, hey, hang on, I'll never have a brain chip implanted into my skull, think of somebody like me. My cranial surface is already optimized for brain chip implant. And if I get one, I'm now 50 times smarter than the next person. So how will we compete with that? So this is technology that will definitely enter our workspaces in one way, shape, or form. And just the last image there is represents Chat GPT. I'm
Right.
assuming everyone's heard of it, but there are so many platforms now. You have Claude by Anthropic, you have Perplexity, you have a host of other platforms, Google, Gemini, and others, and they're revolutionizing how work happens. Companies like Moderna, for example, have deployed these at scale, and that's changing the game. I mean, consider something like Mid Journey that competes with Adobe. Adobe is 44,000 people, and they're trying to figure out how to compete with Midjourney, who's taking over their market share. Midjourney is 11 people. So this is the power of AI and AI enhanced workforce. And many companies are already deploying this technology. So just at a very high level, there's obviously tremendous focus on AI, but I would just broaden that and define that as AI plus exponential technologies, AI plus robotics, AI plus XR, something like this.
Hmm.
So that's the focus right now. It's not just generative AI and chatbots. It's agentic AI. How do you use these AI to make them agents, to execute tasks for you effectively? So you're not in this loop of question and answer. One example is Cognition Labs recently launched the world's first AI software engineer, where you could provide Cognition Labs AI called Devin. You could provide Devin with a task, something like, and this is a real case, by the way, Ethan Mollick published this. If you don't follow Ethan Mollick, please do. Gives you some amazing insights. He's published a book called Co-Intelligence. Um, I learn every day from Ethan and smart people like that. So he shared an example where you could give Devin a task like go make money on Reddit, and Devin now sets up a Reddit account, suggests that provide me with programming code, I'll debug it for $5 a pop, and now Devin's earning money, right? So something like this is what AI agents could do. They're very different from chatbots. Agentic AI is the future. I actually referenced this in a January 2024 article. You could have as many as 1 billion AI agents as we go forward into the next 3 to
Wow.
5 years. Then you have, of course, all of this impacts the workforce. It impacts our workplace ecosystems, and those are important kind of cascade effects of these technologies.
Hmm.
One stat that I'd share is, all of us read the headline news on AI taking over jobs and 300, 500 million job losses and all of those things. I want to provide a counter stat. Gartner recently suggested that by 2036, there will be 500 million net new human jobs.
500 million net new jobs.
Net new human jobs. And like this is, it aligns with my own worldview of abundance. So I love the stat. And for anyone from our real estate industry, think about if 10% of that workforce requires office space, we're all in business.
Wait, it's
So
500 million globally, correct?
500 million globally.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yes. Um, the other couple of things here are around hybrid workplace experimentation that continues, as real estate optimization that continues. But what I'd magnify is this idea of empathy-based management and the fact that this change affects all of us at various levels, and all of us have cognitive load right now. So whether it is a
Mm.
leader, whether it's a line manager, whether it's an employee, JLL has 90,000 employees globally, and we have folks who are HVAC engineers, janitorial staff. All of them are affected. We have struggled and slogged our way through the last 4 years of the pandemic. Now we have one more wave of change, and we'll continue to have waves of change. So empathy-based management and leadership will be important. Dan, I know I mentioned leaders can make your coffee taste better or bitter.
Mm.
And this is where I think leadership will be a true differentiator as we go through. Leadership at all levels. I'm not just talking CEO. Anyone can be a leader, should be a leader. Um,
Interesting.
the one case study that I love to share and talk about is if we go to the next slide, Dan, if we can. I love this case study coming out of Harvard. It's titled Navigating the Jagged Edge of Technology. Amazing case study. So I'll just orient folks to what we are seeing on screen here. This is a
Hmm.
real world case study. BCG consultants, 750 of them working on real world stuff. Divided into 3 groups. There's a control group in blue
Hmm.
that did not use AI. There's a green that used AI, essentially GPT-4. And there's a group in red that used AI and had training on how to use AI. So what are the things that we notice here? The first thing is anyone who used AI is more productive than anyone who did not use AI. Second thing that we notice is you don't really need too much of training. If you get hands-on on a platform, you're as productive as somebody who had training. So
Mm.
that's good news. And then the charts on the right really get me excited, right? So the first chart there on the right, the first 2 columns are the difference between types of employees. So if you imagine 750 people, not all of them are equally built. Some are better than others. So what happens when people use AI is that it levels the playing field. So if you're a lower
Mhm.
performer and you're using AI, you're 43% more productive. Now suddenly you're as productive as somebody who's a high performer using AI. So the gap between somebody who is great and somebody who is good will change as we go forwards. And of course, this assumes that you are prepared to dive into it and use it. Go ahead, Dan.
I just want to say to our audience who are probably going with the jeweler's loop, trying to read what's on their screen right now, for your convenience, we're going to provide Ram's
Yeah.
presentation on our website, on LinkedIn, but also on um, YouTube, on our YouTube page, so that if you want to, you can download that and really dig deep into this really amazing information.
Yes, awesome. That's amazing, Dan. And full credit to, of course, Harvard, who published this case with BCG.
Mhm.
Um, the bottom chart there again is interesting, and I love the notion of jagged edge because the edge where technology works and doesn't work is not clear yet, and it likely will never be clear. So it turns
Mm.
out that when you're outside of that boundary of where technology works, humans work better. And what that means and where that is at will continue to change as we go through the next 4 or 5 years. 4 or 5 years is a very long time in technology space and with AI, as we have seen.
Mhm.
So this is, I view this as learn how to use the technology. The oft repeated quote is that AI will not replace your job. Somebody using AI will replace your job.
Mhm.
Um, I think there's some truth to that, and I
Right.
would say it applies across levels. I would say even for CEOs, if a CEO using AI is more productive than a CEO who's not using AI, the CEO using AI wins. So it applies across levels. Just one couple of last slides here. I view this as Bill Gates coined this as the age of AI. I view this as the age of possibility.
Mhm.
Um, Possibility can be positive or negative. It depends on us, right? It depends on us and how we use this technology. I view this as human plus machine or not human versus machine. Superminds is a concept that Tom Malone out of MIT came up with, and I firmly subscribe to that. What AI is going to do and these technologies will do is allow us to mine the knowledge that exists across humanity and will allow us to scale. So, industrial revolution allowed us to scale human muscle power. This AI revolution is going to allow us to scale human intelligence, human creativity, human innovation. Um, so I think this is the age of possibility, the age of abundance if we use this in the right spirit, explore, experiment, and expand. I mentioned that anytime you think of AI, don't think of it as singular, think of it as combination with other things, things like robotics, XR. Um, this year is the year of robotics. So if you
Mhm.
look at what's happening across companies like Figure and others, there's tremendous investment going in here. Robotics specifically here is humanoid robotics as opposed to, let's say, a Ford factory robot. The reason you need a humanoid robot is it's generally able to use our infrastructure. You don't need to
Right.
specifically program it. Unitary, for example, released a $16,000, $16,000 humanoid robot that can do a lot of tasks, including household tasks. So important for us to have this, especially as we run into labor shortages in specific areas. So
And
think healthcare. Yeah.
and that $16,000 robot is one tough hombre. As I recall the video that you showed me, Ram, it was getting sucker punched and wouldn't get knocked over. That was quite impressive. Make a
True,
great mall cop.
true. And I was half kidding that we may need prevention, people for ethical treatment of robots pretty soon.
Right. Right.
That's good. Um,
Okay.
the last couple of points I'll mention here is that the risks are real here, and the rules are still under construction as we go through the next cycle. The future of work, as I see it, will never be technology led. It will be human led. I take
Right.
chess as an example. AlphaGo and other platforms, Stockfish, others are magnitudes better than any human being at playing chess. But there are no chess tournaments that are machine exclusive. right? There's always a human chess tournament. We want to know how we compete with the machine. However, what's happened is those machines have made humans better chess players. So similarly,
Uh,
the future of work will be human-led, in my view, and not technology-led. It will be purpose-driven. Speaking of work, one of my former colleagues defined work as something that's so horrible that someone else is willing to pay you to do it for them. I, I, I don't ascribe to that perspective. I view work as something that you can make fun for yourself, and we live in an age where you now have the tools to make work fun for yourself. So I'll leave it at that, and happy to engage in conversation on any of these topics.
Fran, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. And Ram, that was a really good summary of so many things. It's hard to know where to start, but this one just you were talking about human chess players were getting better because of AI
Yes.
and technology. Can we translate that into managers? And one of the big issues with distributed work is the legacy middle managers primarily, even senior managers, are not used to working with people not sitting in front of them.
Right.
Here we have new technology that, and when we think about what the impact of AI is going to be on the workplace, well, it's going to reduce fewer people are going to get smarter and do the work better. But at the same time, they're also going to be generating a lot more data than exists today. And as digital workflows finally appear, and all the data to do the work, in addition to who's doing it, how they're doing it, and where they're doing it, all those things are going to be available with AI to do the analytics that are going to provide real insight into workers in the distributed workplace. What's that going to do to what we currently see as hybrid and remote work? And is that going to alleviate some of the tensions and concerns about working in this new way?
Yeah, such an interesting topic, Fran, and it's actually a deeply profound question in many ways. And I won't run into philosophy here, but suffice it to say, to your point, that the amount of knowledge, we're talking knowledge work, the amount of knowledge in the work is increasing exponentially along with the technology.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a graph called the Buckminster-Fuller graph, which shows that the amount of knowledge doubles every year or so, just as you have Moore's law, right? In 2020, this is pre-generative AI and any other thing. In 2020, the amount of knowledge was doubling every 11 hours.
What?
Yes.
Wait. The amount of knowledge work doubled every 11 hours?
The amount of knowledge in the world.
Oh, amount of knowledge in the world. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, double every 11 hours. This IBM estimate. If you think about things like Internet of Things and other devices, they are all creating data. So the amount of knowledge in the work doubling every hour or so, every 11 hours.
Wow.
There's no estimate of what's happening right now, but my general sense is it feels like it's doubling every 15 minutes. Every time I open my browser, there are 10 new things that I need to learn about, each of which would have been headline news a few years back, which is the only thing that we would be talking about. Now there are 10 such things every 15 minutes. Peter Diamandis shared this, that there are 7,000 medical white papers published every day. So how many did your doctor read? And if the answer is hardly any or none, now you know why you need AI. So to the point of managers and cognitive partner for managers, AI can be that cognitive partner where AI can inform the manager who's struggling, who's not, who needs help, who does not, who needs a break, who does not, who's effective working from which location, who does not. Are we there yet? No. But I'm pretty confident we can get there because this is a data problem. Eventually, we will be able to solve it.
So you see, as time goes on, senior management and upper level, the C-suite is going to become more adaptable and more comfortable with the kinds of distributed work that are now underway with all this new data and new analytics.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a choice. As in, we are already there yet. Economists would say the ratchet effect. The ratchet effect is essentially you've gone to a slightly higher level of consumption and you don't want to go backwards. So we're now at this position where people are used to working a certain way, and it's hard to go back to what you had. Fran, you talk about return to the past, right?
Mhm.
It's very, very difficult to go in that direction. There are some occupations, some professions where there may be necessity to do work in a certain way.
Mhm.
So if you exclude those, then there's a more flexible way of working that most people have adapted to. I think there's definitely need for this as a co-partner, co-intelligence, cognitive partner, cognitive aid, by whatever name called, as we go forward for all levels, whether it's a CEO or whether it's an analyst. All of us need these AI tools.
Great.
Mark?
Thank you.
Ram, thinking about the tradecraft of JLL, which is sort of the convergence of work and workplace. It seems that AI's got two big thematic areas where it's perhaps inevitably going to make an impact. One is to optimize the workplace, and lots of suggestions out there that we perhaps need less of it, but more of the good. And then the other sort of thematic direction is to improve the coordination of work, especially as you touched on in one of your themes, as organizations embrace more hybrid work. So if optimizing the workplace and coordinating better work are sort of two broad areas of inevitable impact, in your advisory work today at JLL, what are the big bets that you're encouraging your CEO and VP of corporate real estate clients to make today? Or inversely, what are the risks of not acting today? What's the risk or the threat of not taking action, and where should they be placing their initial bets?
Hey, great question, Mark. And I almost think that liquid space was ahead of its times when it was first launched with the work that you did with CRE porosity and other things. I still remember from 2016, 17, your presentation on have we reached peak office, and some great insights there. The way I think about this is it's not a question of whether we need place to work or no. It's a question of where that location is. Right? That's the discussion we are having. Yeah. And is that all connected inside of one building, or is that distributed, like a distributed honeycomb almost? Mm-hmm. So AI could play that role as connective tissue in many ways, bringing people and place together as necessary. And I would also say that any of our clients that are making the wisest choices right now, there is balance. So they're not jumping at the new shiny object. They're looking at how they can experiment and leverage. They're looking at which teams are able to make savvy decisions when it comes to location, when it comes to downsizing footprint or increasing footprint, whichever direction they might be going. This is it's a multi-dimensional problem. It's like that Netflix television series Three-Body Problem, right? Where there's no real solution and there could be infinite possibilities. And this is where we are at. I think there'll be continued experimentation with some of this. If anyone claims to know the answer, I think they're lying. Mm-hmm. So I think there's need for experimentation. Where it gets difficult is 10-year leases, 20-year leases, fixed cost contracts, and all of those kind of things. That's where it gets difficult and hairy. And that's the space where JLL is solving for with all of our large footprint occupier clients. So keeps us busy.
Yeah, it's tricky for the clients, and I imagine it's got to be tricky or a time for reflection for JLL as well. I mean, you cite the example of Adobe with what you say 44,000 employees, and they're experiencing some disruption from Midjourney with 11 employees. I think JLL's got 88,000 employees. What's the nature of the AI-enabled service or solution that is threatening to JLL?
Like I said, I don't see it as a threat or a replacement, right? So it's almost like how can you do more? I don't view this as X versus Y. I view the opportunity space as expanding. If the opportunity space expanding, there are hundreds of net new opportunities, jobs, categories that get created. All of them will require innovation. We can't address all of them with our existing intellectual capabilities and capacities. We definitely need those AI co-pilots to help us. So, for example, you might say, Does everybody do we service all of these footprints, or can we use robotics in places in a smart way? Is there a way for us to use AI to enhance our workforce? Like JLL GPT is an example. We're already doing that across our workforce.
Maybe this quick follow-up question is perhaps too reductionist, but bear with me. You're talking to your Fortune 200 client, your typical Fortune 200 client, and they say, Ram, should I work on the people side and try to optimize the gathering and the collaborative and the engagement sort of outcomes and work on that first? Or should I work on the capital efficiency of my portfolio and optimize that footprint first? Sophie's choice, if you had the other as far as a primary recommendation today, where are you, or where would you steer that hypothetical enterprise client? People or portfolio first?
People, 100%, all the way. Every day of the week, twice on Sunday. The reason, I mean, it's fairly obvious, right? The space exists for the sake of those people. If we are able to optimize for high quality experience for those people, make work seamless for them. One of our clients actually describes this amazingly well, right? We all talk about seamless workplace experience. What is that? So the way this person described it was, it's actually during the moments of transition that you feel the seams. So how are you able to smooth over those moments of transition? And this is where I see kind of the overlap between physical space and technology. Right now we have an epidermal layer of technology in most buildings and workplaces, like skin cream on your face or what have you, right? That's how we have technology. If you're able to integrate that into your work environment, into your workflows, now suddenly you're able to reduce those lag effects when it comes to the moments of transition. So you walk into a meeting room, you click a button, and you're online. If you spend 15 minutes every time you're in a meeting, now there's a problem. I'm going to choose to work from home. If I come into the office, I have commercial grade holographic meeting spaces. I am going to show up, and it's useful for me. But if my home office is better than the physical office that I have access to, I'm likely going to work from home. I have the warmth of home. I have my favorite coffee maker. Why would I leave?
Yeah.
So I want to get to some viewer questions. We've got some live viewer questions. First is from Paul Whalen. Hey, Paul, thank you so much. He asks, how does query-based knowledge work align with the potential for AI decision-making? That's a great question, because so much of what many of us do, at least online, is based on queries. This is how we drive our day. Yeah. AI is changing that routine. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it's a deep question. I know our friend Paul Whalen there well. He's a forward thinker. So if we think about if I can go a little bit deeper on this question.
Okay.
We all hear this narrative around AI and jobs and all of those kinds of things. Jobs are actually a bundle of tasks, and those individual tasks are what AI or any of these models can support. When it comes to decision making, that's a whole different deal. So the typical growth curve here is data, descriptive statistics, which we call business intelligence, machine learning. Machine learning is the art of making a prediction. That's the core essence of machine learning. A recommendation system is a machine learning platform that allows you to make a decision. And then you have AI, where the AI is making a decision. Like, for example, Tesla self-driving car makes a decision on left or right, stop or go. That's an AI. AI decision making, in my view, in the work that we do, knowledge work, we are still in the task automation realm, where we are looking at specific tasks and using AI to support specific tasks, not entire job functions. But you could see the trajectory that we are on and say, okay, there are certain task bundles that could be taken over by AI, and then there could be certain functional bundles that could be taken over by AI. But this is a 10-year trajectory or 20-year trajectory that we are on, not a 2-year trajectory. So if we dial back now to query-based knowledge work, individual chat platforms or what have you right now with things like ChatGPT, Claude, or other elements, or MChat that Moderna has created, or JLL GPT, and those kind of platforms, they allow you to ask those queries, specific queries, and then generate output. But you very quickly see where the gap here is. How do I know what query to make? When do I know to make that query?
Right.
How do I evaluate the data that's coming out of that AI platform? How do I use that data? Do I inform my client that, hey, hang on, I used an AI platform to generate this, or AI gave me this answer, but I'm excluding that answer? So there's a bunch of questions there. And this is where it comes down to kind of behavioral change and change management and training and all of those things.
So I want to pivot to, I believe this is Ramith. Anthony, how you doing, sir? Thank you so much for submitting your question, and thank you for being a part of the live audience. Ramith asks, are there organizations that are including human plus AI goals? This is a great question, to annual performance measurements. And what does the future of measuring goals look like? That's a fantastic question. What do you think, Ram?
Yeah, amazing question. MIT actually released a white paper on this subject, and there are numerous articles through MIT on this. I'm more than happy to package some of what I'm saying, by the way, post this discussion and share with our audience. There are already companies that are doing AI enhancement on their KPI. They're using AI to measure KPI. They're using AI to figure out which KPI are working, and then stop measuring stuff that they don't need to measure. Right? If you're measuring something like weight of gold, then you need to go down to ounces. But if you're measuring the weight of a human being, you don't need to go down to that level of micron precision, something like that. So how do you use AI to streamline some of that? And then human plus AI annual performance measurement. Actually, I don't even think annual performance measurements are a thing or should be a thing. I love this idea of kind of continuous or rolling performance measurements depending on task and project. Look at what the outcome is and if you're able to achieve that outcome. Whether that outcome was achieved by a human or a human plus AI or just AI really doesn't matter so long as you get to the outcome. Use the right tools and the combination of tools to get there.
I think the one interesting thing about Ramith's comment is that he referred to annual performance reviews. I think and you tell me if you agree or not, that the beauty of AI is that performance reviews can happen perpetually.
Yes.
Or serendipitously.
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. I worked for a Big Four consulting firm previously, Deloitte, who have a fantastic framework called Reimagine Performance Management. And they do something very similar. It's kind of a rolling performance measurement depending on amount of work that you do. It's actually a HBR case study on how Deloitte's deployed this. So there are like large global organizations. Deloitte's not small, 300,000 people plus globally.
Interesting. Fran?
Ram, we've had some fun the last couple of days trying to figure out what work robots are going to look like. And I know, by the way, the word has leaked out that you're now writing your second book, The Exponential Humans. I don't know if you're going to talk about that at all, but and then we went back and forth on what this exponential human is going to look like. And both Dan and I came up with this cyborg looking thing. Dan had a great one yesterday with someone sitting in a training session. But your impression, or based on what you sent over to me, the exponential human is more like a Buddha-like character, contemplating, I don't know what. But with that in mind, as we look through the balance of this decade, how many, if you're in a work environment, how much do you think we'll actually see robotic features like that? That obviously you're using AI versus most of AI, which exists deep in the cloud somewhere that you never actually see. There's no physical reality there. Give us some insight into that.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, look at Fran. Look at the sleeveless dress coat.
How does he put the tie on? That's what I want. I mean,
good question.
Okay. No more ties in these shows. Go ahead.
Yeah.
It puts it on expertly is the answer, and it perfectly every time. Yeah,
that's true.
I know the sentiment on ties on this podcast, so I took mine off before this one. But the conception that I have is there's this whole idea of anthropomorphizing these AI systems, right? So idea being that, are you attributing human values, human attributes to these systems and over-indexing on them, thereby creating a bias in the user's mind. So this is a whole field of study. Like I mentioned, the reason you actually need humanoid robotics is that we have labor shortages in specific types of industries and specific types of elements, job categories, and so on and so forth. And you need to deploy those humanoid robots that are generally capable of adapting using our infrastructure. I think, therefore, that things like warehousing and logistics and those kind of areas is where you will see more of these deployments early on, or hazardous material handling, even healthcare potentially is where you would see a deployment early on. In fact, Agility already has something like 10,000 humanoid robots in Amazon warehouses. And Amazon put out a statement that those robots actually created 700 new job categories. 700 new job categories, not human jobs. So very interesting. The reason some of these robotics, of course, also allow you to have conversations with these types of humanoid robots, right? So you could have Figure One put out a video on how you could talk to the robot, and the robot responds back to you. You can teach the robot on how you like the dishes stacked, and the robot will stack it for you. You could visualize a building where you had a shared janitor service of robots, right? And this allows us as humanity to progress to the next level and move towards deeper things. One of the comments on your post, Dan, sometime back was, how do you use outsourcing right now? And if you look at outsourcing contracts, typically, you have people overseeing the people that were outsourced. So therefore, outsourcing value realization never happens. We don't want that to happen with robotics, where we are simply overseeing a bunch of robots who are doing the task that we were supposed to do.
Right.
So I therefore personally view this as, how do we elevate ourselves to a space where we are able to do different things, new things, using some of these platforms as leverage. So therefore, in my mind, exponential humans. The same way, like I mentioned early on, if you think about the Industrial Revolution, it allows us to scale human muscle power. Human muscle power was scarce. Now suddenly machines come along and we are able to scale human muscle power. Did it result in some job loss? Yes, it did. There was a frictional period where there was job loss, but ultimately it created much more abundance across the world. So this is the same way I view AI and this present revolution that we are seeing. It's an ability for us to leverage, a point of leverage, where we're able to scale elements of humanity, whether that's intelligence, creativity, or innovation. One example I'll share, very recent example, last week or so, an AI system was able to discover 27,000 new asteroids.
And amazing.
That's not even the punchline. The punchline is it was able to discover those asteroids from existing photographs.
It's amazing.
It's incredible.
But that AI was not sitting at a chair looking like a human. Okay. And that's I guess that's the core of my question. We have a lot of robots in industrial manufacturing and everywhere, but do you expect we'll see in an office environment a representative sample of those humans?
Could be for certain types of tasks like security or janitorial services or those kind of elements.
They need to fit on the elevator. They need to fit through the doorway. Yes. They need to be able to open the door.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
I loved how you framed earlier, Ram. They've got to live in our anthropomorphic, human framed and configured physical environment. Yeah.
Yes. Just to give folks a picture, and check out Figure or Agility robots. These are humanoid robots or unitary robots. These are humanoid robots. Anywhere between, like I said, Unitary recently released $16,000, so $16,000 to $160,000, that kind of range per robot. And these are anywhere from 5'5" to 5'8" tall. They have hands and legs. They have fingers. They have an equivalent of a face, let's say, for computer vision systems, interaction systems, etc. So that's what we are saying when we say humanoid robot.
I would be fearful that thing would break my wrist if I went to shake its hand. If the tensile strength wasn't set to like normal handshake, Anyway,
I've done a handshake with a few human beings where I'm like, my hand's going to fall
Oh
off.
yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. We're running a little tight on time. I want to get to Mark, and then we gotta kind of get to wrapping up. Mark.
Yeah, Ram, you and Fran just inspired a new term for me. Let me run it by you. You guys were just speaking of exponential human. But bringing the conversation back to workplace, it suggests, or perhaps let me ask you to give me JLL's sort of point of view on flexible office, and might we think of flexible office as exponential workplace? You know, most of your clients had tens or hundreds of office locations. Now they can have exponentially or near infinite. Is that an unavoidable reality going forward? And should the world be orienting around flexible office more, perhaps?
I love this idea of exponential workplace, Mark. And I don't know if you're headed to the patent office right after this one, but we should look at patent. Love that idea. I definitely think that like if we think about the core reason for the workplace, it's not for supervision, right? It's for us to provide a platform for people to do what they wish to do, whether that's connection, collaboration, innovation, or just heads down work, whatever it might be. Allows you to be exponential. If you're able to do that, achieve that as an objective, that's the wow experience that people are looking for, not beer pong and stuff like that, right?
That's amazing. And you bring up the patent office. The USPTO is completely humanly led and I think incompetent in the age of AI. So if anybody's watching, I have a friend who's at the USPTO and I did invite him on to be in the audience, but that's a real opportunity. And I hope that the forces that be in government automation think very seriously about incorporating the best of AI into the one department that is spotlighting all the intellectual property coming down the line.
It's a whole podcast unto itself, Dan.
Yeah, right.
Intellectual property. Yes.
We'll bring you back to talk about it.
Yeah, what is intellectual property in a world where you've got unregulated generative creation happening?
Yes.
Well, this has been a lot of fun, Ram, and we're going to get to our final question. But before we do that, I want to spotlight your book, The Conscious Machine, which is now available on Amazon.com as an e-reader form for your Kindle reader or your iPhone or your iPad or hard copy book. As I said, I'm about 45% through it. It's a really fun read, and I wanted to offer congratulations for really a great book.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dan.
Before we get to our final question, where would our viewers and listeners find you on social media so they can learn more about you and perhaps connect with you to have a conversation? Where would they find you?
I'm on LinkedIn, reach out, connect, accepting all invites.
Okay, very good. Well, gentlemen, we've come to the final question, which is, what's your work fit? And so, Ram, I want to ask you, what attribute, condition, experience, place, or state of mind makes work that you do a wonderful part of your day, doing many wonderful and meaningful things, and not the all-consuming time suck of a day? What's your work fit?
Freedom.
Freedom. Explain.
So I've worked with JLL since 2010, right? And one of the reasons is JLL and other organizations that I've worked for, enjoyed working for, allow you freedom, autonomy to do whatever it is that you want to do. So JLL's tagline a few years back was "Achieve Ambitions," and this is I firmly believe in that idea of providing people with a platform, get out of their way, allow them to do their best work, and you'll see them prosper. So from my perspective, freedom, autonomy, those are critical.
That's a wonderful thing. And, maybe all the things we've talked about today will render the micromanager obsolete. That we will all have the agency to do work the way we want to do it. Ram, thank you so much. We've got to bring you back. This is just the start of the conversation. So I hope when we start doing new shows in the fall, we can again confab with you and continue seeing how you think AI is evolving in the workplace. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.